Hey Tyler,
I'm more than
hey Tyler,
happy.
do you think you could repeat that bit that you just did? That was really funny. Well, we
Okay.
weren't recording, unlike now when we are recording, like right now.
Okay, so Overwatch 2, everyone knows Overwatch 2. The servers have been fucky wucky.
Sorry.
They fixed that. They've got they got like they're porting over people's things from Overwatch 1 that should have happened automatically, but it just didn't. So now that it's an actual feature that you kind of have to manually accept. And I did that, and I'm on a queue of 180,000 people. And it reminded me of being in the queue for a women's toilet. Am I right? And I changed the saying, so now it sounds like I'm actually in the queue for a women's toilet, which sounds weird,
It reminded
but it made
you.
more sense.
It reminded you of that experience that you've had.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine I probably did when I was younger. Like, I think, if you only have a mum growing up, you often kind of had to go in the women's.
Yeah,
and I think I did.
unfortunately, I actually had to go into the men's a lot, which I wasn't very happy with.
That is worse.
Can I just point out that I am a man?
Yeah, and I am also technically a man.
All right, whatever you say. God, this is by far our worst start.
Yeah,
I'm proud
I mean,
of
we
it,
talked
though.
about Overwatch 2, so it could never really go up from there.
I think I made up for it with the thumbnail.
Just gonna put out there. I'm gonna relate it by saying that I'm not actually a Torbjorn main because I don't really like damage that much, but I play Torbjorn hella hard. And respect to all my dwarven men.
Yeah,
out there.
well, I get. So Torbjorn is a dwarf, but what class is he most like?
He's engineer, basically. I mean,
so Torbjorn is the Overwatch's engineer, though. He has turrets.
Yeah,
he builds turrets.
He builds a turret. Yeah, he throws down a turret. He's short, red mainly, although you can kind of change his skins most of the time. He has a yellow beard as well, so it's actually very similar to engineer.
This is why you don't play engineer really, though, in Deep Rock, because Torbjorn takes that slot.
It's because right, I only gained satisfaction from using AI to kill people. Right, because fuck you. You use skill to get your kills. I did nothing to earn this.
I hate that shit though. I hate that shit.
I love it. I have such a shit-eating grin every time I get a play of the game. It's just the turret doing everything and me missing all my shots.
I'm surprised you didn't like Titanfall 2 that much then, because you can just have your Titan just autopilot, and you can have like
I never
turrets.
good enough to get my Titan early enough, and as soon as I got it, it would just get destroyed immediately.
Do you not think there's an argument that you were actually too shit to enjoy that game?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that was never on the table. The fact that I couldn't use the movement is why I couldn't play as
you get these other abilities where you can get like the smart pistol or just turrets, like an overpowered sentry that just mows down other players, or the ticks that are just little suicide drones.
I use ticks a lot. I remember that.
Ticks are great. I like them in the campaign. You get them as grenades. Deep Rock.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Torbjorn, he also has. Yeah, it's probably shit.
No, I mean, speaking of which, I think Titanfall actually has some good grenades that, genuinely. I mean, the satchel charge is a pretty common one, but they have a satchel charge as a grenade, and it's like one of the best ones.
Wait, is that grenades in Overwatch? Not Overwatch, fucking hell. Apex. I don't think.
Well, there aren't there? You get the different stuff.
Arc stars. Like.
Do they have gravity stars still?
I'm pulling blank. No, they have arc stars which stick to players, and will blow up or
Fire
stick to the ground. They have frags that are frags, and there's another one. And I play Apex quite a lot. Not recently though. I'm kind of annoyed that I can't think of the third grenade. But yeah, that's not really something they really tapped into much. Even though it's actually a sizable part of like the arsenal of the players.
I mean, it's pretty funny though that Titanfall got the satchel charges so right, because it's a grenade you have less of them than the others, and they're just much more powerful. But they're still a grenade, and you do just toss them out like you do in Deep Rock, and then manually set them off. But it's still a grenade.
Yeah. I feel like
just copy that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they could have made that like an ability in Apex, but I don't think anyone has something like that.
At the very least, because Titanfall 2 had like the best frag grenades ever. So just copy those as well. I mean, I think that's really just because they were cookable, and the movement in that game made it fun to like trick shot people with frag grenades.
Like, as you're parkouring across the fucking rooftops, you're also, like, aiming up an angle for a frag grenade and, like, timing it just right. I can see the appeal there, and I can also see why I'd never do it, so I'd get pissed when that happens to me.
Yeah, I think everything cool in Titanfall requires a bit too much, like, just a very base level of skill that you just simply can't tap into.
Well, the thing is if I focus in on something, I can just about do it. Like, I play Dying Light. And that's not a surprise. It's a really fucking good game. 2, not so much, but I have completed it. But if I'm just focusing on parkour, I can do it all right. I can actually like parkour across the roof. That's the thing, though. Pretty fluidity. But if I have to like shoot shit while doing it, that's never going to happen in a million years.
You might have liked the campaign though, because that way you don't have to deal with other players, and it's the more natural. Like, it's a bit more predictable. Unfortunately, you can't use the grappling hook in the campaign, which brings me to another annoyance in that you can't use the repulsor in Halo Infinite's campaign. You get like shield upgrades instead. I was really disappointed with that. I mean, I love that campaign. I've realised that now, but still.
Deep Rock podcast.
Hold on, but you remember the
shotgun?
And, you know the dynamo grenade from Halo Infinite, the electric one? I think that's what a lot of people were expecting for like Scout. That's what people thought the electric grenade would be. It's just a pure Tesla grenade.
Yeah,
but instead I think we got the voltaic stun sweeper.
That is a very smooth transition, and it also brings me on to my first thing with that is that it's probably the most creative Tesla grenade.
I'll give them that
in any games, like, because for a good solid amount of time, I didn't even realize that's what it was. Like, I realized that it was an electric grenade that chained between enemies, but I just never connected that. Oh shit, it's electric chain. Like, oh damn.
Wow.
But they decided to just turn it into a boomerang and also add a heavy stun, which I mean, the reactions of these things and the actual reviews of them are on our channel. This is just going to be our long-form discussion of each of the grenades, if you're wondering what this podcast is actually going to be about. I mean,
before we get into that, I want to pose to you the question, and I think I know the answer. What is your favourite grenade in the game as is current?
Well, right now...
well, actually, you know what? Is it the impact axe, though? Is it?
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to dissociate. I'm trying to figure out what grenade I actually like using, and none of Gunner's. I actually not fond. I mean, his grenades are all good, but there's also kind of that I'm not really interested in any of them. Scouts ones, kind of the same. They all feel kind of empty. I mean, I kind of like pheromone grenades. I'm not gonna lie, but. I'm not sure.
But the problem is, I think I know the answer now, but you don't want to pick it because it's engineered. You like plasma bursters, don't you?
I don't use them ever.
Oh, I thought that was a thing. No,
yeah, I mean, that's kind of just a coincidence, but I don't know. I would say of engineers grenades. I think. No, even then, I just don't really like most of the grenades in Deep Rock. And I would continue to say that that's the case even going into Driller. I mean, obviously, HE is fucking garbo. The pheromones they're more annoying than anything. But
neurotoxin, I mean, not pheromones.
Yeah, neurotoxin. It's really just process of elimination that makes me like the impact axes.
But they are fun.
Yeah, they are fun and incredibly good. Like, you can't hate on that, but it's not actually like personal preference. Like, I don't have a grenade that I just like more than others, even though it's not good. It just is the good grenades that I like, and it's kind of sad. But I think that might change.
Before we get into that, my favourite grenade, I don't really have an answer for that, to be honest. Because...
So you expected me to?
Well, hold on. What would you say my favourite grenade is?
Proximity.
Well, there's a chance. I think it might be that. But honestly, my brain sort of trudged itself towards IFGs. Actually, I'm a big IFG fan. They call me the I fan G.
Nice.
No, that was not nice.
I fan grenades. That's that. IFG fan gay.
Well, the problem is, I think I'm an equally big fan of plasma bursters and proximity mines.
Yeah,
the grenades.
I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about this because unless
Next
they nerf into the ground, the driller grenade, which I know is not, but there's just cover all of them. Driller grenade that's being added is, if it plays like it shows it will be my favorite grenade. Like that
I'm on the
shit
same
left me
page
speechless
with the engineer one.
Yeah,
the shredders.
Yeah, and I imagine it's probably some of the others. Like I think some gunners commented on the Gunner 1 grenade video, and they were like, hell yeah, that's the thing I need most as a gunner, more lead. And it's like, yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think that's the thing. I think these grenades inherently play to like kind of what the characters or what the people that like the people that lead towards those characters would want. It's like, I mean, I think the Scout one, I guess, because it's not actually killing anything, which is quite similar to what Scout mains do. And it's just kind of like chain stun and like status affecting them, electrifying them, which is kind of what Scouts.
Well,
do
the boomerang is by
primaries.
far the most different in terms of trend. In terms of following the trends of the classes, because Scout's really the only one who has consistent theme across the grenades already, to be honest. Let's be honest. I think that you get the sense of why the other grenades are on their classes, but they haven't really locked themselves in too much, I don't think. Especially with Engineer and Driller. They don't feel particularly locked down by specific types of grenades at all. And so their new ones being very different, not necessarily fitting in at all, is great. And I think that's probably why. I mean, to be fair, they are our mains, respectively. But I do think they are the most interesting looking out of the bunch. The Lead Burster looks like a lot of fun, but it doesn't look too functionally different from the Incendiary Grenade or the Cluster Grenade.
Yeah, because I realise that this is really dumbing it down. I mean, generally grenades are quite different, but Scouts grenades, they do like a status effect in an area that doesn't inherently kill. Right, all that description applies to every single thing, all of them. Like some of them can kill and probably will, like cryoing, flying, or pheromoning things will eventually kill each other, but they don't inherently kill those grenades. However, others grenades.
Well, no, hold on. But I thought you were going to go to because the boomerang does though, because it inherently deals damage.
Yeah. I think that is a thing, but I think it's just bringing up the gunner also being pretty simple as far as grenades. It is where you throw that grenade or where your grenade ends up, the area around it will kind of just die. like it's just pure, just wherever your grenade ends up, death ensues, which isn't always inherently the case for some of the other grenades and some of the other characters. But it's the case for all three on Gunner. But then you leave Driller and Engineer with no real theme. Like Driller's three grenades could not be any more different, right? They are like area explosion damage, like a giant plume of neurotoxin status effect, and then like direct damage. Axe. Like there's no cohesion there. They're all on Driller, and it's the same with Engineer.
Well, I think there is some cohesion Engineer. The only cohesion being just you're probably not going to get a good result if you just throw them blindly. They all function differently, but they all require some kind of thought put into each throw.
I only agree with that because technically that's true, but I would say Plasma Burster pushes that a little bit.
Yeah, but it's also the most interesting iteration of that idea because it's not as obvious, but you still need to think to get the best use out of them, and you can use them differently in different scenarios to if you want the burst to stretch out across a longer area or be concentrated into a single target, or if you want it to come down from above to hit aerial enemies. There's different. That's not so much that you get good use out of it pretty much all the time, but you get better use out of it if you actually think about what you're doing.
I think that is the thing. The best use of engineers' grenades are when you use your brain. But then again, that's kind of like everything. But I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it's just cool that the plasma bursters are the only ones that really take advantage of the momentum aspect of being carried over to grenades. And they might be my favourite grenades, actually, to be honest. I just think they're so cool. I don't use them all the time, but I think they might be more common on my builds than proximities. So there you go.
Yeah.
And the shredders are sufficiently different at least from the plasma bursters, where... Well, no, the shredders are very different from all of them, actually, to be fair.
I think the shredders are, as far as we can tell, homing damage.
Why are they so small?
Shut up, Harry. God damn it.
I'm not going to let this go until I get an explanation.
Then go to their office and demand an explanation.
I will. I will.
All right. But yeah, I mean... They're just wild. They're all really wild. I mean, and even the simpler ones, like what could have been the simpler ones, like Scout and Gunner's ones, they kind of stepped up a notch.
Yeah, I do think the lead burster is still probably the most simple one. Like,
yeah, but considering they're going to have to change it because
do the same thing.
It has a chance of breaking someone's game because of how much visual effects it does.
Yeah, that's a good point, mate. That's a good point.
And it's not as simple as it sounds if it can crash, just because of pure amount of particles and like effects or not effect. I don't know. Point is, yeah, the Gunner's grenade. I'm sure Gunner mains, which are rare. They'll love it. Like,
Common Gunner W. Right here.
Pretty much, yeah.
Common Scout L. Well, I say that in jest, right?
I think we need to...
What?
Because I haven't really heard the common consensus of the grenades, really.
No, not now. Not the general... Not the consensus for all of them. I know that everyone's been pleased on an individual basis, but I don't know what the comparisons are that are being made really. If even those discussions have been had, probably on the Discord more likely. I don't know. I mean, experimental branch will bring a lot of that stuff to light, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh shit! What was it? Oh fuck! Bollocks! Cock. I guess what I could ask both of us, as in, just to pose a question to spring load a conversation. That was a reference to the spring-loaded Ripper, the Driller's new grenade for Season 3.
Thanks for the context.
You're welcome. I guess which one of these do you think will actually be the strongest? Because we know that the Ripper is getting nerfed.
Ripper's getting nerfed. Gunner's one's getting... They didn't inherently say nerfed, but they said tampered with.
Even then, the Gunner's one will still probably be the most outwardly powerful, the most immediately powerful, followed by the Ripper, I reckon, just because the Ripper's so quick, And then the sweeper, the boomerang will probably be the weakest, But that's to be expected.
That is my thing. I don't get how the boomerang's going to be good.
Yeah.
Because inherently, it is not going to really help you at all. It slowly spreads between, 8 enemies? So it slowly bounces between 8 enemies, stunning them, which is alright, and electrocuting them, which is alright. And it's really that if it does eventually kill them, the electricity, then I suppose it can stand up there with the other grenades because it can actually kill grunts.
If it can one-shot grunts, that's pretty good. That's pretty decent.
Yeah. That would make it a next level. But if its main purpose is area control, that is not controlling any area. You know what I mean?
Surely the point of this is to not be that, or not as much. Surely the point of this is to do something else. Um,
If it's not for to hold them still, then I don't get what the point is.
well,
So it must.
to be
That's what
fair,
I'm thinking.
it's
I'm thinking maybe the stun is only there so it gives the electric enough time to kill them before they come back in action, or like most normal things. Like I don't know, or maybe it's more supposed to be used against Praetorians or something to help stun them. But I'm not sure if you'd want to do that. But yeah, I just don't. I don't get the point of the boomerang grenade, and if I'm right, and that it doesn't kill things, then I don't see how it would be any better than the IFG.
well, it's
Because
going to
the
be
IFG actually has an area of electricity that will boost your damage and slow enemies down, which it will slow a lot more than just one single IFG.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you can't just spam a horde with the boomerang because you only get one and then it has to recharge.
Yes.
You're also actually on a cooldown for being able to use your grenade, which I'm not. I don't think they implied it's going to be anything significant. It might just be you're on a cooldown until you get it back. But the point is, you're not going to be able to spam a horde with these and actually like have a horde kind of come to a halt. You'll just have a couple enemies in the horde kind of stop dead, but then you kind of have to still deal with all the rest. Like, so I'm not sure how. I think that's my point. I think the boomerang is probably going to be not just the weakest, because I think that was inherently a given, but the most useless.
Well, it's going to be about. Well, I think the point of it will be that it's a combination of direct damage, but also being able to stop enemies for longer than any of the others. I mean, none of the others actually completely stop enemies. The cryo does, but it'll be longer than that. But obviously they won't be frozen, and it's just sort of limited to the number of enemies. But it does damage as well. I think that's the point of it. Whether or not it will be good enough to compete is another question entirely. But I think I understand what it's going for.
Well, the grenades only goal isn't just to like stop enemies, but it's just kind of either like I don't know, like cryo and IFGs. They are what Scout uses to amp up his damage when he needs it. Right? He'll throw a cryo grenade, throw an IFG, and then he'll spray into it and kill a bunch of grunts. That it gives him that boost of damage. And you could say the same for the pheromones, but I think pheromones is also leans more towards throw that as you're running away. And then they'll kind of deal with themselves, and when they eventually catch up to you, they'll be a lot weaker, or something like that. Like I don't know, pheromones feels has a different use, but I don't know. I think the boomerang is gonna feel awkward first of all, like the cooldown. I think, but then I just can't see. I mean, there'll probably be something they'll tinker with, like in the branch. If it is an issue, that it's just like people use it, which I mean, I imagine it will happen very quickly. Like they'll get a lot of very immediate feedback on the grenades, I imagine. And if people come back and say, why would I use the boomerang over like even the IFGs, which people don't even seem to use for some reason, or like the pheromones, then they'll have to go back to the drawing boards with that. And I think I can see that happening, unless it kills.
It is strange, isn't it? It is odd because it's like we found it to be, we felt it to be such a strong start, right?
Yeah.
But it's immediately become the weakest offering in my eyes out of the four. I'm the least drawn to it, kind of by far, and I'm not quite sure how that happened. I guess I just prefer the others. I guess. I'm not huge on the leg burster, to be honest. The Ripper and the Shredders are where it's at for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because it helps that like all three of those other ones actually showed killing targets. That tends to help.
It does
I know
help,
that's not really
help.
what Scout is really ever going to do, but like even their psychological, like even though like it's not going to kill them or shouldn't really most of the time, but you kind of want it to.
I think it should. I think it should.
Even just seeing them, and I think a more awkward but limited killing potential grenade. I think if they were going to do it, I think it would be this.
It's also like I don't think they should necessarily just extend the electricity to kill. I think it should do a fair amount of direct damage, and then the electricity will finish them off.
And
that being melee damage, because it must do melee damage, right? We got to this is an important
If
part
it's
of
got
it.
a handle, then it should. I think
If it's got a
that's just kind
blade-
of the rule.
Because it's edged. It's got a bladed
Yeah.
edge, kind of. I think it's sharp and it's metal, right? I mean, the Ripper and the Shredders, you could kind of make the same argument, but it's different scenario here because this is much more clearly a weapon.
You don't wield them. Like,
Exactly,
those grenades
exactly.
you don't wield, but you do literally, like, you could hold out the thing like the boomerang, like you would the axes, and just kind of stand there ominously. And yeah, it's.
I mean, I think it'd be hilarious if the Shredder was melee, but no, the Ripper. I mean, the Ripper. God, this is gonna be difficult. The Ripper and Shredders.
Yeah,
right.
I think. I don't know. I could see. I think if the Ripper had vampire on it, that would be pretty damn wild. First of all, but I don't think it would be that game breaking. I mean, it wouldn't not be, but it also wouldn't be ridiculous. But if, like, Engineered, the Shredders had vampire...
The Shredders definitely won't, though, because they're separate entities, right?
Doing melee kinetic damage, though, I imagine, right?
Yeah, but it's the same... Yes, but... Probably. But it's just... they don't have to be melee. It could just be... There's no reason. It doesn't matter either way. But the point is...
It would be a choice on their behalf.
But yeah, but it's like your turrets or a patrol bot killing something still. It's more like that than killing something with a throwing axe.
Yeah, I know. I'm very aware of this, but it also is the fact that they are then doing that with, like, melee damage normally in the game. So it would be down to the developers to decide whether or not they can do vampire, and we don't know which they've chosen.
It is up to them, isn't it? I mean, the problem is, if they did that, then everyone would have that, like, capability except Gunner.
Assuming
which is kind of fair. Tyler, which one do you think is more likely to be dealing melee damage?
Yeah, I don't know. If they're gonna do this, Scouts got it.
I am somewhat assured, though, by the fact that the Ripper, the Shredders, and the Boomerang will all benefit from the cryo. Especially the Ripper, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's going to be dealing explosive damage. We know it's at least doing direct damage or kinetic damage. So it will do triple damage against frozen enemies. And I don't think... Well, I mean, that's the weird thing, though, because the impact axes feel made for cryo as well. But not... This is like cryo kill multiple enemies grenade. And it might steer people away from using... Like... Because, like, sometimes I've noticed recently the cryo heavy hitter build could feel better because I feel like when I've got heavy hitter and heavy hitter and impact axes, I feel like I've just kind of got two of the same thing here. But I think, like, the impact axes suit, like, the temperature shock build more, and, like, the Ripper will probably suit the heavy hitter one more because the Ripper's going to take out multiple enemies at once. It'll be like your temperature shock substitute. It's just going to rip through hordes of frozen enemies. Yeah, and then you've got the heavy hitter for burst damage.
Although the thing is, if you aim it up right, the cryo axes already kind of do that. Like if you get like a horde of frozen enemies where they've kind of taken enough damage before they got frozen, the axes will just pass through all of them.
Yeah,
and just decimate every single one of them.
It will pass through an infinite amount of grunts basically in a row. But the Ripper's got more going on than just things in a straight line, and it'll have a high chance of hitting enemies that you might not have even frozen. So I'm not too worried about that.
Like, say in like the video, I mean, he didn't need to do it in the video. Like, it was insta killing anyway. But say they nerf the damage and the Ripper doesn't insta kill. It'll like 2 go throughs to actually kill a grunt.
If he was to be like grunts, frozen grunts, though.
Yeah, if he was to be freezing those grunts before the Ripper touches them, and it did vampire, that would be. Well,
I'm not putting any money on the Ripper or the Shredders being able to activate vampire. I just don't think that's going to happen. Especially the Ripper, actually. Not just because of the way it is, but because of impact axes. Although, if you want to really compete, if you really want to just, like, you know, almost potentially blow the axes out of the water, then let the Ripper do vampire. Because That would be pretty nuts. I mean, how good of a chance do you think it has of Do you think it has any chance of actually dethroning the Axis? Is my question.
I'm not sure about dethroning, but I think it's going to be one of the only true contenders. I think that much I think is on the table. Like it's I mean the Axis generally, I mean yeah, the HEs don't stand a chance. The neurotoxins would if they were convenient, but
I mean if they get like some crazy buff, you know.
Yeah, like more a radius, instant deployment, stuff like that. If it had those, then I think it would be contending. But as it stands, I think that. But if the Rippers are added, the Rippers are gonna become like, I don't know. They're just gonna be really good for like all builds. You know what I mean?
What I see in them is that they actually are quite similar to the Axis in a lot of ways, but they're sort of on the two sides of the same coin. The coin being burst damage. It's like it carries the Ripper carries with it like the same force and like the same lethality. It feels like as the Axis, but or at least much more obviously for multiple enemies.
Yeah,
but with the utility kind of stripped away, because you won't be able to use the Rippers to clear out like vegetation and do things like that.
It won't be
but you'd lose it though. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it needs to I think it will make up for that in how much damage it can do to a lot of different enemies in the same. Well,
because that's what I'm thinking. It's really going to turn out like however it comes out of the branch, because if they nerf because there's a lot of things they could nerf. They could nerf duration, speed, damage. I mean, probably amount. I'm assuming we're probably sitting at around 4 currently. Is what I'm assuming.
I'm thinking 6 maybe to start with, and if that's too much, they can tone it down.
All right. So
either way, I think it might. Actually, I think it's going to end up being 6 either way. To be honest.
So,
I think they'd rather nerf it than reduce the amount. I think they want it to be pretty like. I think they want 6 of them. I don't know. I don't think they have enough. I think they're a bit too unpredictable for you to only have 4 of them.
I know. I think 4 works because it really does look like something that as soon as you put down, you're kind of done.
Well, okay. let's say this first of all. I mean, let's do this actually. Like how much you're going to get of each, right? Boomerang at least 6, maybe even 8.
Oh yeah. I
think big chance of having 8 actually.
I think 8 is on the table
because of the impact axis. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ripper. You think 4?
I think 4.
Think maybe as well.
If they only slightly nerf what we saw in the trailer, then I think 4 is on the table. But if they nerf it to a ton where it doesn't kill as much or like as quickly or as well, then 6 makes sense. But at what we saw, only slightly nerf from there, like either duration, speed, or bit of damage. One of those, not all of them. Then I think 4 is on the table.
Yeah, but I think my point is that it really does need to feel like you're just impact axing a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
But without the utility of the impact axis. And I think you probably want not half the amount of impact axis there. You definitely want less. For example, if they nerf the impact axis to have 6, then the Ripper should be 4. But I don't think it should be that much of a difference between the two. But then I want to skip over the Shredders quickly because the Dead Burst is easy. It's 4. It's a gun and grenade. It almost looks more powerful than the other 2 that you have 4 of. You're going to have 4 of them. There's no way you have more than 4 of the lead bursters. No way. That's so easy to establish. But the shredders, on the other hand, are a bit weird because depending on the shredders, this is the one that I could see them going lower for, depending on how they work. It's the only. It would be like sort of new territory. But if anyone's gonna get this treatment, it would be the shredders.
No, then you're not going to get 2. You're not going to get 2.
Well, the thing is, you get more than 2.
No, but like a single shredder does not equal even like a quarter of another grenade, which is why there's 5 of them.
Yeah, but right? There's a lot we don't. No, I'm not saying it's going to be 2. Right, my money's on 4. By the way, I think. But
I think that's basically.
but we really don't know, like the shredders. We really don't know how they work, to be honest.
Yeah, because they actually the Rippers is really probably what they showed the most of, because we saw the duration of the Rippers.
Well, that's the only thing we don't know about the Leadburster, but the Leadburster is still pretty easy to understand. But yeah, because I'd argue the Ripper's a little harder to understand, but we at least know it has a lifetime.
So it's, I don't know, it's we know enough to like know what the grenades are, but they really haven't shown us enough to judge how powerful they're going to be. I assume that's on purpose.
All I'm saying is that if the shredders have like a lifetime, like that can be likened to something like a patrol bot that you hack, something like that, then 2 could be excused.
Yeah, but
we don't know if it's going to be like that.
There is no universe that we reside in where that is going to be the case. I think it's very likely that they're going to be like maybe like just under proximity duration, if there isn't any enemies nearby. Like probably maybe even half that, because I think they actually last quite a while.
Well, see, that's still fine, but that's fine still, because I think the point of the shredders is I think they are going to be around. I think that's maybe what they're going for, and I want a grenade like that it is more of an ally than a grenade.
I think people would definitely prefer that they did it that way, but that may not be how they currently are, but that could change during the experimental. They could change it into a more permanent ally at the cost of amount. But yeah, I'm not sure if they've already done that, but I'm saying that it could be on the table. If enough people ask for them to be that way, then they might change it.
Well, that's kind of what the point of the shredders should be. That's what would make them distinct as a grenade, because they're not really a grenade. So they should go that route. They should go for that. Double down on that idea, because that's what would make them stand out. And then that would just be aided by I think it would be interesting. I think that's what I want. It sounds weird to say, but I think I want them to. You only have 2 of them. So let's go. But 4. I mean,
4's realistic. Maybe if they're like a pathetic short amount of time, they're like really burst in nature. Like you throw them out, they do their damage and they go within like 2-3 seconds or something like that. Then maybe 6.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I can see them being. I do like this is the thing about the shredder. We just don't really know. Like, do they have health? Do they kill themselves? Do they just last for a long time? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But this is the thing. Like, I think. So if we just want to lay it out, it's like, Boomerang like at least 6, right? It's like 6 to 8, and then Ripper it's like 4 to 6, and then Shredder is like 4 asterisks, and then Leadburster's just 4.
Yeah,
that's what we can. That's the best we can guesses we can give, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think even if we're right, and that is actually somehow like all dead accurate to when it comes out experimental, I think probably one of them is likely to change in the amount that you're going to get.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened before. I mean, HE grenades have their amount. I still can't believe HE grenades. You only had 4 of them at one point. That is crazy. You should have 10.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it is also worth noting that they have implied that they're not doing any other balancing, but also that they have, like they implied that they don't think they did, but they've done it before. So yeah, there's a chance they might.
Well, so I mean, to be honest, to be fair, right, the kind of changes, because I did have grenade balancing written down as a topic, the kind of changes that you could go into this with are probably quite limited. Like, the really only obvious ones are, well, there's not really any, to be honest, because there's no clear way to nerf the impact axes easily. But they could sort of go into the experimental branch with sort of something that is like, yeah, this is what we've done, but we can just like change it back to normal if we need to, or like, oh, there's only 6 impact axes now, but like this is very, very subject to change. As in, I think when it comes to grenades, if they're only going to focus on grenade balancing, then it might be better to just wait for the experimental branch and do it all in response.
Yeah.
And if I feel like they had a little bit more time to maybe get some other gun balancing in separately, and the experimental branch will focus on grenade balancing.
Yeah, because I think they can't, like, because they're aware that the pheromone grenades. Well, that's the thing I worry about, is they only buffed the pheromone grenades once they interacted with pheromones for the pheromone darts.
Yeah,
so they
didn't really count.
They were actually legitimately unaware that the pheromone grenades kind of sucked, and they were just the worst choice until they did that. Which is why I think, if anything, now is when they're going to pay attention to grenade balancing. And I don't want to say this because it sounds ignorant, but like, it doesn't seem like they're entirely aware of everything in their own game, right? And how unbalanced or just balanced it actually is.
No, it's fine. It's like pretty normal, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's mainly because of that pheromones thing that it took them doing pheromones and actually interacting with it to realize that it kind of sucked. But that had been the case since it existed, right? But they just never, and it could be that they never gotten around to it before, and they used this time to do something that they were already aware of and interact with it. Like it went up in their list of things to do, or it took doing this to realize. And I hope it's not the second one.
There's very few things in the game that are actually like pathetically weak. Like, let's be honest, it's not. It's like there's a couple. Well, there's not really even any weapons that really stick out.
And that's not to mention that, like, something that's pathetically weak for us is still more than viable, like 3 and below.
Yeah, it's just not. I just don't think it's. I think they probably, maybe they are quite aware. It's just that just a few things just falling behind in terms of strength isn't going to do that much harm to the game. They've probably got I mean, I am on the side of, if it doesn't take much like effort on the technical side of things, it's probably worth paying attention to, even if they have to take a while to like brainstorm how to do the balancing. If it's just changing one thing to make it stronger, I think they should go for that. But at the same time, I can respect that they have probably more important things to do, or from their perspective. Some people do put a lot of importance on balancing, but I think it's in a good enough state where it doesn't have to be their number one focus all the time. And it's not like they ever ignore it. There's always balance changes like every update. So
yeah, even when we didn't expect it, like how the sludge pump just got a drive-by buff, going into season 2. Like, just out of nowhere, and everyone's like, "Oh, hell yeah!"
But there will need to be grenade balancing, objectively, and they know that, because it's not like they like I said, they don't have to go in with any changes. They should just be coming out the experimental branch with changes, because they will have, because it's just, they have a new set to deal with, and it's going to be.
And inherently, there's going to be a lot of feedback, and I think that feedback is going to tie into the other grenades. Like, people are going to use the loaded Ripper, and they're like, "Wow, this is amazing."
Well, that's the big one, isn't it?
Using the axes.
That's the big one. They're going to use that to figure out how to nerf the axes.
If they just keep getting fed that, and also like, oh wow, another reason to never use HEs or some stuff like that, right? Like, they are gonna have to interact with it to balance the new stuff. They will have to balance the old grenade stuff.
Exactly.
Right. But I think we kind of made this. It was a side note on like a video I made a while ago. I constantly talk about it now that grenades are relevant. That Driller has a grenade problem. Gunner and Engineer, they're pretty balanced. They could probably do with a bit.
Engineer's Gunner's grenades are, well, it's a bit odd, isn't it? Because it's like
it's pretty
the ones you start with, right? There is this sort of weird thing in Deep Rock where sometimes it does feel like the starting equipment is slightly weaker than everything else, but in some cases that just isn't the case. Like impact axes, because they're the ones you start with. But like, I mean, the sticky grenades have a use, but they're the most outwardly weak out of the 3. But they're still pretty decent. I don't know what they could do, to be honest, to them. So they're probably fine. And then the lures,
Yeah,
I
because even
found
then,
that the lures are actually worth using, but I still think they should be a little bit better.
yeah, because this is based on like a poll. It wasn't the biggest poll in the world. I'm sure Reaper did a bigger one. Probably got about the same results though. That like yeah, generally the engineer and gunners they're about balanced. They normally are sitting around like 33% of players on each things. A lot more on gunner. Like it was almost identically that like 3. But
Because the lures did
yeah,
fall behind, right, the engineer?
the lures, I'm pretty sure did fall behind. I think the proximity, no, maybe plasma. I'm not sure. I don't remember the exact results, but it was a bit less balanced for engineer, but still way more balanced than scout and driller. And
Yeah,
obviously that's what the
man.
video was about. But yeah, even scout, which I think we kind of disagree with the imbalance. Like we think it more comes down to personal preference. But that doesn't mean there isn't balancing to be done. Because like if all the weapons are balanced, except that one of them is just more convenient, then I think the other weapons need to be buffed, right? Because it shouldn't be. I'm not sure. It's like an overwhelming majority of players shouldn't be using the same weapon, even if they're all balanced. If there's an overwhelming amount of people just using the same one, then something needs to be done, right? And I don't think it's nerf them because they're balanced, but I think it's just buff or give the other grenades more reasons to be used, which they kind of did because of the pheromones. Pheromones got buffed, and I've not actually done a poll since, but I haven't really heard of any people using pheromones more.
Pheromones could still do with a capacity increase because, you can almost match the point of them with a single pheromone bolt, right? Of which you always have at least 9. And they do like what feels like at least half of what pheromones do, even though you only have like one enemy affected. It still feels almost equally effective. So in terms of actually changing pheromone grenades, it's really just giving you more of them. So you have like a reason to use pheromones that like outside of the pheromone bolts. So if you want to take pheromones, you can use that instead and feel like not stupid.
Either that, or,
and then you can
go
use like
in one of
explosive
the
chemical bolts alongside them is what you'd want to do, but you can't because they occupy the same slot.
That's the build I
it's
have.
good,
That
but do you ever
use,
wish you had maybe more times you could do that?
I suppose. I mean, I as a scout, I don't use it enough to really make opinions. But yeah, no, I think it wouldn't hurt its odds. And I think it's the same with the IFGs. Like there isn't inherently anything wrong with the other options.
I think the IFGs are fine.
It's just exactly. It's just that the
they're good where they're at.
The cryo grenades just. It's just because cryo as a status effect is just built different. So it's kind of hard to, even though they're all technically balanced in what they do, like the amount and the effectiveness and everything. It's just that cryo is above pheromones as a status effect, at least a crowd status effect.
I think IFGs are actually don't really need to be changed at all. Yeah. Actually, I think people really undervalue them because cryo. I actually don't think. I think first of all, I think the status effect is slightly overrated. I think it's very different depending on where it's coming from, though. And it does confuse me though that the cryo grenades are like maybe the most popular form of cryo though. That's what confuses me. Because you only have 4 of them, and I get the really good uses for them, right? Mainly just the breeder thing, though. It's actually mainly just the breeders, and it does feel good to shred enemies that have been frozen, but it doesn't feel good when it's like, oh, I've used a quarter of my grenades for 1 Praetorian, which just happens a lot. And in an IFG, you have 6. And I think they're probably a little bit more versatile. To be fair, IFGs are mostly useless against air targets as well. And I think people tend to have more of an issue with aerial targets, to be honest.
Which cryo definitely...
But, cryo, you have less and they're also useless against bosses, unlike IFGs. I think... Yeah, I don't know. I think they're actually in a good spot, and I think people just need to realise what they do differently, and how they're probably pretty equal. But pheromones aren't equal to them.
The game can help people realise by, I don't know, I'm not saying nerf the cryo, but maybe nerf the cryo for like a little bit, like once, and then as people realize the other grenades are like just as good, then buff the cryo again, and so it will naturally spread it out a bit, and everyone will be happy. But
Like the IFGs, like they're also really great in like choke points and like in tunnels and stuff. Like because the bugs will just walk into it and get bundled up, and you can just eviscerate them. Yeah, like there's no waiting involved with cryos. You just have to go with whatever you've got. You can't change the number of enemies that are really going to be caught in it over time. It's just one and done. I think I think they are actually equal, and it's just the pheromones that fall behind, unfortunately. And
but pheromones and those are pretty much treated the same, I think. Both of them just fall behind.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I think it was a pretty high step. I think it's around 10% pheromones, like below 30% IFGs, and then it was like a 60+% like cryo. It was But then compared to Driller, which we talk about a lot, and his like I think it was like 80% impact axe range.
I thought it was higher than that.
No, I think it was like 80 something percent, but then like I think well, I don't know. I know it was just sad looking at it and how that is just a thing in this game. Like,
but it's also that it's not wrong, right?
Yeah, no, nobody is in the wrong for doing it. Their decisions are completely fair enough. But it's wild that the devs haven't done anything about it, because like any other part of the game, if it had an 80% like majority, vast majority of people think this thing is significantly better than any other option, they would have changed it ages ago.
There's a few things to say about that though. I think well, the first one I would say is if it comes out that they're actually completely unaware, I'm going to get really worried. But the other thing is, they might just be scared. And they might be too scared to do it until they've got another one in the ring to sort of make things more... make the differences more clear.
I don't think they're ignorant, and I don't think they're scared. I just think they are...
Well, not scared, as in I don't think... I think they're probably not confident that anything they can do would be the right change yet, until we've got a new player. It's like, we've got to see what the Ripper will change just by existing first. And I think they'll go from there.
I think they're definitely not ignorant to it, because I think someone asked in the comments of a stream once, like, what grenades do you like the most, or what grenades do you use the most? And even right now, because we record these while they're doing this stream, and I'm making sure they don't do the teaser. Jacob is playing Driller, and Shock Horror, he's using the axes, and I'm pretty sure that was the response they gave to the questions as well. The axes, like they are, even the people that play it at Ghost Ship Games, they just use the axes. Like it can't not be something they realize, even in their own experimentations. They must try HEs and then hate them, right? That's just a thing that even they must come to terms with, like as players, right? Like, because we're not like digging into the stats. It's not the GK2, right? We're not digging and finding why this gun is worse than all the other guns. Everyone instinctually uses it and dislikes it, right? Or uses the axes and then they come to the terms with it. There is no better alternative. This is the best thing I could use for everything. Like
I want to say something about the Rippers though, because like how if HEs don't get buffed, how much they're going to be left in the dust. Because even if they nerf the Rippers, they're still, I think, going to... Well, they will. But if they nerf them to not be able to one-shot grunts, I think they're still going to do enough damage where they'll feel like very convenient for like wave cooker, like cleanup. As in, you'll be able to do enough. Like they'll be left on such low health, but it'll actually feel good to just mop them up with like the wave cooker, which is very high ammo but low damage. Because like, or even the cryo cannon, where it's just like a few ticks and they're gone after the Ripper's done their work. And I think just with the fun factor and like just the sheer like ferocity and probably high number of enemies they'll be able to affect, there is no version of this where the HEs come out on top or just come out better. There's no version of it where they don't come out worse unless they get seriously buffed.
Yeah.
And I want to see more buffs than nerf, just across the board.
Yeah. I think that like because grenades inherently they are very strong pieces of equipment, right? Like not many other guns insta kill grunts, right? Like generally that's a pretty exceptional thing when things do that, right? But well, like it's focused mainly on damage, but grenades just do that most of the time without even caring. They are inherently strong, which is why they're incredibly limited.
Yeah, which is why the Rippers probably should one-shot grunts, right? I don't know if we're in agreement on that or not.
I
They should one-shot grunts, I think. Because I think there's a difference between a grunt and a slasher, where maybe they may not actually want to be able to one-shot slashers, but they should be able to one-shot grunts.
I think there is definitely an argument that the nerfs they could take would definitely allow the strength of one-shotting things. Well, maybe just slow it down so it can't kill as many grunts in as much time as it has, or reduce the time that it has, its duration, so that it doesn't exist as long. Both of these things will reduce the amount of damage and kills that it will get without decreasing the damage.
Holy fuck.
However, I honestly would prefer that they nerf damage and we retain duration and speed. Because
so the ability to have more than one pass on the grunts.
Yeah, because first of all, that alone would kill them. It would just take a bit longer, right? It would just be something. You know what I mean? Like you'd have to go around twice, but it will probably do it with its speed and duration, like in the right situation. But also, drillers' guns are inherently the case to where it not insta-killing isn't an issue, right? A horde of grunts in front of you being left on a sliver of health in no universe is going to be an issue with
it wouldn't feel good for the Sludge Pump, I'm just going to say that. But you'll probably have the Sabata, or chances are you have Sabata or Wave Cooker with you that feel good for cleaning up very low health enemies.
With the Sludge Pump, Harry, you would probably they would already be damaged by it. I'm not sure, but this is how I see things. You would either mass freeze, mass set alight, sticky flame probably, or just goo up a tunnel and then you throw the Ripper out, right? And the Ripper cleans up, right? Which is why I don't think the damage really matters. Honestly, they could make it maybe do half the damage, which would feel pretty terrible or not that pleasant. But even then, I do not think it would reduce the strength of it generally. If you just use your primary slightly before you throw it out, it will be just as strong and it would retain the other elements. However, they could go the route of nerfing duration, speed, and actually still making it be an incredibly strong grenade in its own right. But I don't know. I prefer it relying on your primaries to be used slightly, and so then it still retains its overwhelming strength, just in a different way. That's what I prefer to happen. But considering it's going to come down to popular vote, likely, because that's basically what the experimental branch is, right? It's when a vast majority of people come to an opinion that they don't like something, that's what they change, really. The experimental branch is really when they bend the knee, because we like to say that they try and stick to their guns or that kind of things, but when it came to the fact that the community hated how the shard diffractor shot, how you had to burst fire it, basically they changed it.
To be fair, right, shard diffractor is probably one of the biggest changes that they've made in response, and in fact I think it might actually be the only true rework. Only weapon rework, certainly, that they've done. That's because it was the only one really deserving of that. I don't think any other weapons really need to be reworked, to be honest. But I want to talk about the lead burster, because I think we know. I think people still don't. I guess people just haven't seen it, but we kind of know that it doesn't do friendly fire. I mean, how could it?
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
how could it?
I mean,
it shoots them.
No, I mean, how could they allow that to happen? Because it would be so terrible. It would be so constant and unavoidable. You know? But they said, it's in the Steam post about it. It says, this providing anything not of dwarven toughness with a high dose of lead and some... Okay. I'm not sure. I think it will try and avoid teammates, basically. It will stop firing when it goes over them. Either way, I really don't think it's going to hurt your teammates, because I think the uses of it will be really diminished if it does, like uplink
I don't like
module stages,
I
things
don't
like that.
like how they're pushing away from doing friendly fire. Friendly fire is an inherent
I
part
don't know
of
why
balancing.
343. I don't know why friendly fire. They just. I think they just remove it. I don't like friendly fire at all. I don't
I
care
think
for
you're
it.
dumb, like because as stated, like friendly fire is an integral part of balancing. Friendly fire is why plasma bursters are broken. Like friendly fire is why Driller
Do
is a menace
you?
to not only his enemies and
What?
his
Do you mean
teammates.
when they're not broken?
No,
What?
yeah, because I think plasma bursters would be incredibly like overpowered if they couldn't also insta kill your teammates.
I think my
if you
point is the lead
poorly.
burster it doesn't have any chance of not hitting your teammates. That's all I'm saying, unless you're just not with them at all.
Sure, it does.
No,
I mean, it's just
no,
it's basically the same as the fucking grenade. Like it's just in an area where you throw it, it will deal a shit ton of damage, and that includes if your teammates are there, right? Like that makes sense. That's what all his other grenades do.
No, I
don't
just
see
don't.
why
I just
all
don't
of a
think
sudden
it's.
you
I
have
just
an issue with that.
no. I just don't think it's going to do it. I just don't believe it.
I
simply
agree with you,
don't.
but I think that's only because they seem to be reluctant to allow friendly fire all of a sudden. Like all of his other grenades, if you are in the way of his grenade, it will hurt you. That makes sense. That is immersion. That is logical. That implies skill to where you can use your grenades to the point where you're not murdering your teammates, right? Like there is a level of gameplay to friendly fire.
Yeah,
and
but
if they
the
just
lead
keep
burster can get you
systematically
even if you throw
removing
it away from your teammates.
But the shots aren't endless, are they?
Well, we don't know what the range is, to be honest.
I think the range is about what it looks like. Because you don't see the gunshots reach like the back of that cave when it's doing it. I think it's like probably what you see it as. It's a kind of like maybe 10-meter radius around it will get shot. And then it maybe the bullets just drop off immediately. Maybe they just like fall into shrapnel, some bollocks like that. Point is, like, I do not like your opinion that I've just found out that you don't like friendly fire is like bad. It's like one of the most integral parts of the game. Not to mention, the friendly perk. I mean, that would be useful if they removed friendly fire. But it's I don't know. It's just such an
Maybe it's not
integral
that.
part of the game.
I don't like. I don't know. It doesn't. No, I think I agree with you. I just don't like it. It just doesn't feel good. But it definitely serves the
To
purpose.
be friendly
But
fire
I think
or to friendly fire?
What?
Do you not like being shot by people?
I don't
or do you
like
not
either way. I don't like giving or receiving friendly fire, but I respect
Pick
what it
friendly.
does. Well, no.
Yeah,
that's not what that means. That's not what that means. I never said I feel like I take too much. I feel like I do too much. It just doesn't feel good when it happens. When it happens, but that's the point. That it's not meant to feel good because you're meant to avoid it. Often in specific ways that leads into how you're meant to use things, like plasma bursters. I just think the lead burster specifically, it gives me this feeling where it's just like I don't think this should be able to hurt people. I just think it's just too inevitable.
Do you right? So when you got a minigun, right, and you shoot someone in the face with a minigun, do you not think that shouldn't hurt them? Because that's all it is. It's a fucking spray of bullets. It should hurt them. It will be really
it's completely different.
and dumb if it doesn't. It is not. Like I get that you're going at it at like a gameplay front, but like even then, like it's got the same probably radius as a high radius satchel charge. You don't think that should hurt people? Like I don't know what new thing you want to be implemented here.
I honestly think it's like
teammate damage.
It's different enough from all those examples in pretty much every way to excuse it not doing friendly fire. I really don't think I really believe this.
An area with bullets. Like damage with an area, you get friendly fire. Bullets, friendly fire. Together, no friendly fire? What? That doesn't make any sense.
I just think it would be useless if it dealt friendly fire. It's too it's too all-encompassing of an area. It's a massive sphere of damage. I like plasma bursters which go in a straight line, or
Yeah, and
the charge,
do
which is much less instantaneous and has a very clear warning too. Yeah.
Okay. What about grenades? They, even though it's not a technical sphere, it will launch up in the air and cover an area with damage.
If you throw it in the
that will hurt
air,
your teammates.
I tend to roll them across the ground, and most of the damage is concentrated towards the ground.
Sure, but it's still an area of damage. I just don't get the impulse at all. It's just so
basically,
obviously
I think
friendly fire.
It's basically because I think that the lead burster is supposed to be basically a bullet shield, and it's more supposed to help keep you safe than hurt you. I don't think it's meant to be as dangerous to you as the other grenades, and I think bullets sort of imply that to me.
I never saw it in that regard. As you're supposed to use it as an alternate shield.
No, I mean this is why I've just realised that I think it should be. I think that's
right.
what would make it different from the other grenades. So it's something you can basically throw at your feet and be safe. But at the same time, that would need to be balanced. It should not be as I don't know. Maybe its killing power shouldn't be as much, but I guess it would be unavoidably.
Well, if it doesn't kill them quickly,
maybe
it's not really even a shield.
So maybe if there's maybe there is actually like a safe zone, but the problem is there can't really be a safe zone when it's like I don't know, like a 3-inch tall thing, and it's firing bullets out from it directly. Like you can't stand on it. You can't stand on it and be safe, really.
I think that this is like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not fond of the no friendly fire thing, but if you want to assume that it's a shield, maybe it has like a scanner, and if like say it's put down in like the middle of
no, this is what I mean though,
right?
It will stop shooting to avoid
and then
teammates.
Stop and then spray and then stop and then spray. Yeah, I think that. Because that would also, and like, I don't want that to be like a in-game excuse for why it doesn't do friendly fire. I want that to be a mechanic. I want that to be, if you were using it to protect your teammates, it won't deal friendly fire damage, but it also heavily reduces the damage output because less bullets are being shot. I want that. If that is a mechanic, or if that is a thing they are intending to do, where it doesn't do friendly fire, I want it to be at the cost of damage, right? If you don't want to deal friendly fire damage, but you want to protect your teammates with your grenade, it should not do as much damage because there's less damage being put out. I think that would be a really cool mechanic, which I don't think they have any evidence of showing that's what their plan was, but we can only see.
No, I guess there isn't really any. I mean,
he didn't use it as a shield in the videos either. He just threw them at the enemies like you would a normal grenade.
Well,
or I guess more
it's
towards
not
the
really
floor.
stopping to not shoot at him, but you kind of tell that the player isn't taking damage from it.
Yeah, because I think he's outside the radius.
No, in some of them he's definitely not. He's different distance away in the two different clips. Like I think he's actually within radius in both, like easily. Either way, just to me, because especially in like the way that it's used in those clips, I think it's meant to be a gun or grenade that feels good to use in very tight spaces, and that's why it needs to be a little bit safer. I think
suck it up, fuck you, and if it doesn't do friendly fire, I will get pissed, because friendly fire is an integral part of the game, and unless a very good reason appears, things should always do it. And if this grenade for some reason doesn't, then I'm gonna riot.
Well, also I think there's the fact that it's probably just not gonna do much damage to people, but it's kind of just don't.
That's fine. If it doesn't do much,
probably be fine.
But if it doesn't do any, then it's dumb. And if it does do some, or slight, and people want to reduce it, pick friendly. Fuck off. like at this point in time, it's less you I'm even saying this to. Like, if they decide to get rid of friendly fire in this grenade, I will get pissed, because that is dumb. And I think the only other things that, I mean, obviously the shredders aren't going to do friendly fire, at least not. It's not going to try to.
No,
right?
I don't think it's possible for them to do that unless you're standing inside an enemy that it's attacking.
Yeah.
And
I think
why would you be doing that? I just don't think it. I don't think it can happen. Basically,
yeah.
I think the Ripper, however, might have an issue.
If the fucking Ripper doesn't do any friendly damage, I mean the boomerang shouldn't either. Like the shredders and the boomerang implies that they won't do friendly fire due to them being like automatic lock on enemies. But like that's
I think the
kind of
Ripper
why
can get away with it because it's not going to be that easy to hit your teammates with it, even intentionally. They can jump over it. They can just move out of the way. They can see where it is.
Teammates they have to decide to take damage from it most of the time. Yeah. And I think generally, yeah. But it's just that if the bullet rain grenade, right, doesn't deal friendly fire, then only one of the 4 grenades have done friendly fire, and that just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think in some, I'm not gonna say it shouldn't deal friendly fire anymore, but I think it should be the one that doesn't feel as dangerous to you and your teammates. I just get the sense that that's the point of it.
His grenades being dangerous, but I
think I'm right because it's not explosive, and I think that sort of implies that it's not meant to be as.
Yeah, it looks more dangerous.
You're not meant to be. I think it's meant to be. You're not meant to be as careful with it. Like I want to use it in very close quarters, or like gunner's grenades don't really serve a purpose during things like salvage operation, frankly. And this probably would, as long as it doesn't do too much friendly fire damage. And then obviously, it would work very well when you're using a shield.
In shields, I think I mentioned that on the video when I covered it. It just looks like something that if you throw the shield down and then you throw this down in the middle, then all the enemies that are like on the edge waiting to kill you will just get melted. And it would be like so good. Like yeah, and you won't take much damage because you're in the shield.
I just want to know if it can deal weak point damage. Because maybe that's what's killing everything, really.
Yeah, because it's gonna hit everything, including weak points. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, because that might be too much. I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting.
Well, no, because Tyler,
especially
like Macteras have roughly double the health of like grunts, like Mactera spawn, and it kills 3 Macteras in one pass, but they are facing towards a player. So I think it might deal weak point damage.
It's just that, like, the implications of, like, say there's a dreadnought, right?
Yep.
And you throw this, and it loses its shell, and you throw this, like, literally under it.
Yeah.
It will just fucking melt it.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. 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 Yes. 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 Yes.
So you want it to be a absolutely broken, melting machine that doesn't deal friendly fire damage. Fuck you, Harry.
No. No,
that's exactly what you want it. You want it to be a really strong grenade that melts everything and is really good, but you don't want it to deal friendly fire damage. And I'm sorry, but like, can you not see that friendly fire is an inherent part of balancing?
I can see that I don't give a fuck.
And I can see that your lack of fucks is what will cause that grenade. It will cause me to hate it.
Well, thank God I'm not on the experimental branch.
Yeah, well, I'm worried that more people that would agree with you are.
No, I don't think it should actually be both of those things.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty. I really find it unlikely that it would do not friendly fire. It would do weak point.
Yeah,
like they've got to come to the terms with like a gun that releases like hundreds of shots per second probably shouldn't be hitting weak points. Like
but what if it's pretty shoddy on body shots though? What if it's pretty whack on body shots?
Then
and it kind of needs to deal weak point damage to get it.
Then it'd be a really weird thing to be a weak point.
That would come out of it. That would be like if something really specific comes to light about it, and that's the way it has to be for some reason to make it balanced. That's not going to be how it starts out.
Plus, I would argue that the sticky grenades are already kind of Gunner's weak point grenade.
It's just Praetorians. It's just Praetorians, Tyler. It's just
I've
noted it's only Praetorians that it applies to. Nothing else.
Yeah, I think they could probably do with tinkering with the stickies.
Stickies are fine.
They shouldn't be on the top of their list, but they might they might want to make it fear enemies that can't normally get feared. And that might be something that will help it. Because it won't change it in like any other way. Like it will still be just as good against what it normally is, but now it is actually available against like dreadnoughts and oppressors. Which just unlocking those two things will increase its viability by like at least 10%.
Unfortunately,
right?
it's like the only. Well, not unfortunately. It would have to be the only thing that can do that, though. But also, I don't think it would feel natural if they don't change anything about sort of it. If it's just a sticky grenade, but somehow it can fear like detonators. I think that would feel pretty weird if nothing about it changes. It needs to be more obvious that it's for that. I think.
Bloody Gunner's grenades really fucking suck against dreadnoughts, don't they?
Cluster grenades not necessarily.
Exactly.
The twins have skewed that a little bit though.
Your best shot is clusters, which are supposed to be used against like AoE targets. Like, how has that occurred? Where the AoE option is the best option against the boss for Gunner.
Well, luckily, it's the most total damage.
And
the dreadnoughts are big enough, and you know.
But I think you can kind of agree with me that the single target explosion grenade should be the one you want to be using.
The sticky grenades aren't single target damage.
No, but that's why I said single target grenade. It's still a grenade that is more against a single target than
you're kind of meant to just use them on Praetorians and hope that like there's enemies that you can like run into and suicide bomb them at the same time, kind of. I mean, I kind of like doing that anyway. That's a pretty underrated part of sticky grenades, I think, where it's like there's a grunt sort of like in front of the other grunts, and you sticky grenade it, and it just runs back into them and blows them all up. Or you could just use plasma bursters and just kill them all anyway. Either way, the lead burster is pretty weird, actually. To be honest, it feels more self-explanatory than it actually is. Like when you watch the footage, you think, "Oh, I understand this," and then you think about it, and you think, "Actually, I think there's a lot of information here that isn't really conveyed."
Yeah, not to mention we don't know how many times it goes around, because I said 360 in the video, and I'm sorry because I fucking lied, because it showed that it did start to go past 360 in one of those clips. Like, it does seem like it will go round for another lap. Whether it's a full lap, half lap, maybe it just accidentally goes a little bit over. We don't really know.
I think it should. Well, first of all, it should do friendly fire damage, and I don't think it should be a pathetic amount, because I think you should be able to sort of, if you're very close to it, you can sort of move around it as it goes. Stay out of the way of the burst.
Some gunner fucking throws it at your feet. You just have to like rig around a rosy the gunshots. Yeah. I mean, that would be fun more than anything.
It's like your whole team just running in a circle around this like wave of bullets.
It would be like just a fun like fucking game, really. At that point, it'd be like Total Wipeout.
It's like Total Wipeout with like the swinging arm. It's the swinging arm is actually like a
storm.
Well, no, in this, physically represented as like just a full like semicircle, like up and down, and it's just going around. You know?
Yeah. There's just no jumping over it, but at least you're not on like a podium. So you just have to run for your goddamn life. Yeah.
Letters
I think
from
we might,
the Yognauts.
We might be wrapping up now. I'm not sure. They might be doing the teaser.
I really need to piss.
So we might wrap it up anyway, because I think we have covered all the grenades. We didn't actually really cover swarmers that much. The shredders,
well, yeah, but like I established, they're the ones that are the most ambiguous in terms of anything about them, really, actually.
Yeah.
Like, we really don't know how they work.
Yeah, I think we went through our initial, thoughts on them in the videos. But yeah, I think, Harry, you're still looking forward to them nonetheless, aren't you? Like, they're still you're still hyped as hell for the shredders.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Not knowing too much about them is even better.
Yeah,
and I'm still the most interested in them. So it's
which is why it's kind of sad, because I was hyped for the Ripper. But the one thing we know about the Ripper is that it's going to get nerfed. So I'm not sure what state of which I'm going to be looking forward to.
Oh god, I need to piss so badly, and we've got to end it.
Well, let's wrap this up because.
All right. Okay. Thank you everyone for listening. Love you. Like and subscribe. Comment your favourite grenade.
Play Torbjorn. Rep Dwarf.
What?